launch meetup. Yeah, so welcome everyone to our meetup. And as you are waiting for others to join, let us have some more interactions on our Slido. So in your phone or laptop you're joining in, kindly join at slido.com with the code as shown on the screen. So join slido.com and then the code. Sorry.
Are we supposed to vote your vote?
Yeah, so join.
Please, okay. Which code should I use to join?
All right, so I hope everyone has joined with the code. So let's start with the poll. Yeah, so you can just type where you're joining us from so that we can see how many participants we are having. I mean, in different areas or other places in the world or locally. Yes, Kitengela in Nairobi. Thank you. So we have Eldoret, Nakuru, Kenya. Donholm still in Nairobi, Kabete, Ruiru. Keep posting your location, whether it's a town, city, or country. From India, welcome. At least we have one global representation. So Nairobi seems to carry the majority of us. So the next question, describe your feeling using any tech term. If you're a web developer, you can say, I am bootstrapped. That means using Bootstrap. You're more reactive. That means you're working with React. Yeah, so describe your feeling using any tech term or rather tech terminology. Post on the chat. Kotlin, use an adjective. But I'm only 3 lines. Okay. Thread start. That's a function. Okay. You're angulated. Oh, nice. Darting. So you seems to be a flatter guy. Feeling like king of the jungle. Very nice. So you're a Python guru.
Very nice. You're a Python guru.
Figmad. Oh, so you are a designer. You are UX designer. Thank you. Welcome. Nmapped. Nmapped. Okay. Couldn't guess that. Androided. Very nice. Android guy. Angulated. At least you have Angular, React. We have your UX designer. We have Python dev. We have mobile dev using Kotlin. We have cross-platform developer with Flutter. Um, Swifty. Hey, so you have your iOS developer. Hashed up. Sounds cool. So thank you. Thank you for your feeling. They're so awesome. All right. So sorry. Yeah. So which topic are you familiar with? So select the topic you're familiar with. Is it technical writing, API documentations, docs as a code, or rather a season of code of docs? So share your topic of familiarity in technical writing, API documentation, 50 percentile. We are seeing, we call it in business, or rather, how do we call it? Uh, Break even in technical writing and API documentations. Seasons of docs, docs as code. No one is docs as code. Yeah. Oh, nice. So we have two break evens. Oh, API documentation seems to reign. Another break even. Quite interesting. All right. Thank you all for participating in our Slido. At least it was very nice response. Seeing you all psyched to the session and for the launch of this new community of technical writing. All right, so most of us sometimes work in projects, and it takes once you've done the requirement gathering, you've started the design by following all the SDLC processes, that is software design and development. Sometimes it reaches a stage where now you need to review like what you were working 2 months ago, and in either way you didn't do the document, or rather you didn't note down some of the key points you were doing the research. Based on the methodologies you use in your company or your workplace, ideally you will always need to document. But most of us don't like to write those documents because it sometimes seems boring, or kind of just a distress from getting things done. So this is where now Write the Docs Kenya comes in. It's a new community that we are aiming to follow, like ensuring that now we put into consideration doing some documentations and understanding that we have various ways in which you can capture your software, or rather the whole journey of your software. So my name is Collins Juma. I'm a software engineer and content development developer at Zalego, which is a stepwise subsidiary. Majorly, my focus for software engineering is web-based, that is front-end using React. And then for content development, definitely it's technical content developer. We curate information regarding most of the programs at Zalego. We have majority of courses we offer, ranging from web, mobile, cybersecurity, and data analysis. And then currently we've also launching AWS cloud platform, or other certifications are related to AWS. All right, so why the community? Why are we forming this community? And what kind of audience are we targeting? So if you want to create an awesome developer experience, through technical writing, then this community is meant for you. Or rather, you want to meet those who have chosen technical writing as their path, career path, that is, and they are earning like, or rather they are having full-time job in the field, then through the community, you will get to interact with majority of them. You need to understand also that social networking really helps you to learn purely by observing. This means that sometimes just observing people and their behavior is considered useful way of learning. All right, so of course we are guided by code of conduct, so that now we offer a neutral or a welcoming environment to all of us, irrespective of your gender, your race. So we have our code of conduct that you can now find them on the link for our meetup chapter. So maybe just to read a few, we are dedicated to providing a safe, inclusive, welcoming and harassment-free space and experience for all community participants, regardless of your race, ethnicity, culture, national origin, color, immigration status, social and economic class, your education level, sex, sexual orientation, gender, identity and expression, your age, your size, your family status, religious, and many more. So please feel free to go through all our code of conduct through the meetup page, meetup.com/WTD-Kenya, so that now you can go through all of it. Just before I finish, I wanted to put a point that in software development, or there is this culture called DevOps, development and operation. And there are some of the key metrics that it uses to measure performances of either way software engineering or delivery process. And according to the research conducted by one of the, in Google Cloud, there is a team called DORA. It's DevOps and Research Assessment. So last year they published a report that they tried to measure the performance of engineers. And in that report, according to their findings, they indicated that documentation is one of the key areas that engineers need to focus on, so that now we can have securely software, or you can keep now track of most of the workflows you're performing, depending on your business or how the internal structure of your organization look like, or your internal workflow of software development. So it's a key area that we need also to focus on as we nurture our skill sets regarding software engineering. So feel free to take part in our upcoming events that will be mentioned by our next speakers, so that now we understand clearly like how is it all that we have for you. Otherwise, thank you so much as I welcome the next speaker, Ivy Walobwa and Esther Wavinya. Hi, Ivy and Esther, take it over.
Thank you, Collins. If you don't mind, I'd love to share my screen. Okay, thank you. It says host has disabled participant screen sharing. I'm not sure if anyone disabled that. Cliff, can you check on that? Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, it's okay now. So before I start, I'd love to confirm if you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So hi guys, my name is Ivy Walobwa. I'd love to welcome you all to our event today. This is Write the Docs Kenya community. It's a new community that has termed under Write the Docs global community. So before I introduce the community, I would love to introduce myself. Yes. So my name is Ivy Walobwa. I am a student electrical engineer and also a hiker. I'm also a technical writer at Blog Rocket and an author at educative.io. So what I do as a technical writer and as an author is create content for developers. I think most of us here are developers. I basically create content for developers that help them learn easier or become better or learn the various technologies in an easier manner. So as I was, I basically started writing back in 2019. And as I was writing as a technical writer, I did my blogs for fun, just to share knowledge or resources to developers, basically just for fun. So earlier last year, or late last year rather, I got an email apparently in the same week from Blog Rocket and Educative to be part of their technical writing team. And I didn't know that I could actually write and get paid to write professionally. So I got really excited about this new field, technical writing, and immediately I started looking for communities on technical writing in my region. So as I was searching, I didn't get a community in my region, but I got to discover Write the Docs global community. So under Write the Docs, this is how I got to discover that there's actually a global community for people who do technical writing professionally or as a freelancer or just part-time activity. So I got really excited and I really wanted to be part of such a community in my region. So basically what Write the Docs, the global community is, it's a global community of documentarians who care about their users. So they basically come together as technologies who want to document software technologies for their users or to make their users experience better. So it's a place for documentarians to come together, share, learn, and discuss ideas on how to improve the art of documentation. So their social is writethedocs.org. So if you want to be part of the global community, you can visit writethedocs.org and be part of the various local meetups in your regions. We have, I think, we have two meetups, local meetups in Africa and other regions. There's so many, countless. So yeah, they also have a Slack channel, which you can get on their global, on their official website and join the community. So basically in the Slack channel, we have various categories. So if you mainly focus on API documentation, if you focus on technical writing, if you focus on, docs as code, you get to join the various Slack channel and interact with other documentarians in the global community. So once I discovered that I can actually have a technical writing community in my region, I decided to reach out to one of the organizers in Nigeria, and he was actually excited to help me set up the community in my region. So I think if you've seen Write the Docs Nigeria, you've gotten to interact with the organizers. So he actually got to help me reach out to the core team, the global core team, and set up a community in my region. So that is how Write the Docs Kenya has been born, or that is how it was born. So we have various organizers for the Write the Docs Kenya global community. I've been one of them. My hobby is hiking, so I'll just get to introduce the organizers and the volunteers and what they like to do. So as I introduce myself, my name is Ivy Walobwa. My hobby, my current hobby is hiking. I really do enjoy hiking. We have Esther Wavinya. She's currently not on the call, but I hope she'll get to join us soon. So Esther Wavinya's hobby is dancing and hiking as well. So for our volunteers, we have amazing volunteers. I'm really grateful they chose to be part of this community and to help us, bring this community to what it is currently. So we have Andrew Mukare. I think you'll get to interact with some of the volunteers as time goes by during our sessions. Maybe probably during this event, you'll also get to interact with them. So Andrew Mukare's hobby is guitaring, cooking, and gaming. Then we have Clifford's hobby is watching movies, and Colin's hobby is watching documentaries. We also have Guantai Nicholas. His hobby is playing piano. Valentine Gatwiri, she loves stargazing and hiking as well. Sharon loves listening to African music and learning blockchain development. So these are our current volunteers, and you will get to interact with them as time goes by. And these are the brains behind Write the Docs Kenya. So a big thank you to the volunteers, a big thank you to the organizers for making this a success. Now that you've met our volunteers, you've met our organizers, I would love to introduce our community officially. So Write the Docs Kenya, as I mentioned, is a peer-to-peer meetup group for technologists who are interested in making the user experience better through documentation. So if you love writing technical articles, if you love writing, documenting code, if you love documenting APIs, if you love, writing some white papers, if you love such like stuff. So if that is one of your interests, or that is one of the things that has excited you in your career, this community is for you. So our main objective as Write the Docs Kenya is to create an open platform for all technical writers to learn and share and become better as one. So to become a member of our community, there are no restrictions. We are open to members in around Kenya, outside Kenya, all over the globe. So if you feel like Write the Docs Kenya is the right place for you to grow as a technical writer, then you are free to be one of our members. So we consider everyone who cares about communication, documentation, and their users to be our community member. So for our socials, we have Telegram group. I think the link was shared as an email earlier, but you can also, I think I will also share the link during the session so that you guys can get to join our Telegram channel and be part of us. So we also have a Twitter account and a meetup account as well. So as Write the Docs Kenya, definitely under documentation or technical writing in general, there are various categories that one can explore. So as I was getting into technical writing, I only knew about the traditional writing where you get to write an article about how to do something, how to start up a machine, how to install Flutter. Those are the kinds of writing I knew before I got into technical writing professionally. So as I was doing my research, or as I joined the global community, I got to discover that we actually have a wide variety of topics under technical writing, not only the online writing that I was used to previously. So as a community, we have narrowed down the topics to four categories that we will focus on at this initial stage of our community. So we will mainly focus on technical writing, which is basically the one I think most of us are used to, where you get to write technical articles or technical blogs rather for the community or for the developer community to guide them on how to use various technologies. We'll also focus on documentation of code. As we were doing the Slido poll, I realized not so many people knew about docs as code, but this is just basically you writing documentation the same way you will write software. So you get to use some of the tools that developers use in writing software, which include GitHub, CI/CD tools, what else, static site generators. You get to include all those tools that developers use in your documentation process. Yeah, so I think if you will be part of our community, you will get to learn about other categories under documentation as code. So we'll also cover API documentation, which is basically just documenting API. I know some of us have interacted with APIs. And as you are interacting with the API, you definitely had to read some documentation. So the person behind that documentation is actually referred to an API documentarian. So as part of our community, we will also focus on API documentation. And also we will try as much as possible to guide people on contributing to open source as a technical writer, because just to land a solid job or to land a good job as a technical writer, you need to have some experience writing. So contributing to open source is one of the ways that you can actually gain experience and have some work to showcase. So now that you know the topics we will majorly focus on as a community, the kind of events and activities we'll have as a community include online meetups, physical meetups, study groups, and more. So for the online meetups, as like this one, we will be having online sessions where we get to interact with experts in the field and get to talk with them and learn from them as technical writers. We will also have physical meetups. For the physical meetups, what we have in store is to have a more peer-to-peer meetups where we meet in small groups and have discussions on various technical writing topics, have discussions on, you know, how to structure your documentation or how to land your first technical writing job. So we will try and, as much as possible, to focus on small physical meetups where we get to meet in maybe coffee shops, restaurants, you know, just have like something like a round table where we discuss on how to become better technical writers. We will also have study groups. We will have study groups for the various topics that we will cover, as mentioned, that include the traditional technical writing, API documentation, Doctor's code, and also contributing to open source. We'll also have several activities for the community. As time goes by, you will get to learn more about them. And this will include article reviews, writing challenges, book clubs, etc. Yes, so that is some of the activities we'll have. So for our socials, we currently are on Meetup, Twitter, and Telegram. So for Meetup, it's just basically meetup.com/WTD Kenya. You can always RSVP and join our community. We are also on Twitter and Telegram. You can use the link bit.ly WTD/-KE. I think Cliff, you can share the link on the chat section so that people get to join our Telegram group. And with that, I would love to say that Write the Docs Kenya has officially launched. And I think the Telegram group the chat for the Telegram group has been locked, and it will be open today so that we all get to interact and share our feelings about the community. So that is all from me. Thank you so much for being part of our community, and we hope to get to interact with you in the future sessions. So I think for the next session, I'm the moderator. So I think I'll just thank myself for being an amazing speaker for this first session. And then I would also introduce the next speaker. So for our next session, we will have Ankita. I think I'll just stop sharing my screen. For some reason, okay, I think I found it. Okay, so for our next speaker, I'm going to introduce Ankita Tripathi. Ankita is currently a community manager at Google. She is a proactive community leader who is currently building Dev Library at Google. She's been a technical writer prior to this, and also loves to share developer stories. She is currently learning chess and making a list of places to go next, and Kenya tops it. I really do hope she gets to join us in Kenya at one of our physical meetups. So welcome, Ankita, and we are glad to have you today.
Thank you so much for the lovely introduction. And I'm super glad to be here today because I think I've been a fan of the African community for the longest time that I've known, especially because I know that working with this product called Dev Library currently, I think I am so amazed to see that the maximum submissions that, like, suppose if we are expanded to almost 80 plus countries now, we get submissions from 80 plus countries, including the US, which has, I think, the maximum number of developer percentage globally. Even after that, we get Africa is like in our top three global regions where we get our submissions from. And it always amazes me that how the community has grown. I was actually just having a call yesterday with someone from India, and I was telling them that you have no idea how much African community has grown. Even they were amazed to see that, quality developers and such quality content you give out. So I'm super happy, super, super, super happy that you gave me this opportunity to speak to all of you today, because it's my privilege more than yours to be here today. So, first of all, congratulations for this launch. This was much needed, right? The dogs in Kenya was much, much needed. And I'm super glad that you took the initiative and this is happening. So, congratulations for that. And okay, let's just start maybe with the presentation. I don't like making presentations because I'm much more of an interactive person. So we will make this a super interactive session. I would love to have questions. I would love to have answers and everything going on in the chat. So be super active because I don't want anyone to sleep. Because when I start talking about tech writing, I blabber a lot. So just that. So let's keep the chat session alive. And I'll just share my screen. And this is always a pain. How do we share a screen here? I don't have the option.
Okay, I think I shared the permissions with you.
Okay.
Yes, I think there should be like a green button at the bottom next to the chat.
Now yeah, thank you so much.
Gita, I think you're on mute. We can't hear you.
So if I stop sharing, I have the option to talk. Otherwise, I'm not getting the option to unmute myself. Is it okay if I give you the rights to share? I'll just share the presentation.
Okay, you can share it with the presentation. I can present it.
Can you share your email ID? I'll just do that.
Okay.
No meetup is complete without technical glitch. I like that.
Okay, I think I've shared.
Yeah, I have also shared it with you.
Okay,
so
access it.
Present it. Until then, I would like to know who else is playing Wordle here, because I am super I've been super addict to Wordle game. I don't know if you have played. Anyone in the chat who has played Wordle until now? Nice. Nalini has played. Okay. Who else? Just one person, please don't tell me. I want to see more people who have played this game. I've tried. Okay. So now we have more versions to Wordle, which is also called Quordle, where you have to guess 4 words. And I'm also loving that. So if you want to try, you can try that.
Okay, yeah, I have gotten the slides. Just 1 minute.
Okay.
Present them.
I love for the launch event itself, you have a lot of folks joining in. I like that. Nice.
Okay, let me try and present slideshow.
Yeah.
I hope you can see the screen.
I can't. I think you are sharing it, but it shows a black screen. I don't know why. Oh, yeah, now it's visible. Thank you so much. Yeah. Awesome. So now since we have had the privilege to have a technical glitch, we can start the session now. So, everyone, I am Ankita, and I currently work as a community manager, but I don't think so. I work as a community manager because I have a lot of work related to building a product. So, yeah, you can go to the next slide because I'm going to talk about my journey. And I think I've talked about it so many times that I love that people say that how many things have you tried? So I started my career as a Java developer, and while I was working as a Java developer, I also simultaneously started writing on multiple social media platforms, and not many were active in those days. The only platform which was active was Quora, and I started writing on that. And like within a year, I had some 11,000 followers, and that was my click that made me realize why not just try writing full time. And we don't have so many options like now that we can go and just explore that what can you do with writing as full-time person. So I just quit one day without telling my parents, obviously, because I don't know how it works in Africa, but in India it's not taken in good spirit. So I just quit one day, and I started analyzing what are the options we can do as a writer. So I started working with the startup as a content writer. And while I was working with them, obviously I had no degree. I didn't know how we worked. So after 6 months, obviously they fired me, and they were like, and that too on WhatsApp. So which was very weird. So they just told me that you don't need to come to the office the next day. And I was like, okay, that means I'm not a good writer. But like post 1 month, there was this company where I was interviewing, but I didn't know that I was interviewing for a tech writer. I thought it must be just very similar to what content writing is, and why not just give this interview? And after a round of 3 4 interviews, I was selected for with that company. And when I started working, I think that was my clue when I got to know tech writing is nothing similar to what content writing is. I think this is a myth which still exists amongst people. People have all actually talked to me on LinkedIn saying that, hey, you are into content writing, right? And I said, no, content writing is not the same as tech writing. So then I started working as a tech writer, and I've almost worked for 3 4 years as a tech writer. Simultaneously, I started building a lot of communities. And while we were building those communities, this somehow combined, and I got this opportunity to work with Google, where we are working with for the developer relations. We are building those relations, and there is this product called Dev Library. And I think since we are already having so many developers from the African community, I would love if people from this community also, I've just dropped the link in the chat session also, that if you want to, if you are a developer, because I saw the Slido thing also, and I see that we have a lot of Flutter devs, Angular devs, Android devs here. So just to brief what Dev Library is, because we are talking about open source, and Dev Library is a platform, is an open source platform where we are expecting external developers to submit their projects or their articles, whatever they have built using any of the Google technologies, be it Flutter, Android, Angular, Firebase, anything. So when you submit it, someone from the Google, so we have Google internal experts for each product area, they actually go through your work, and then they decide if it is worth going on the site or not. So whatever you see on the site currently is all quality work, because it has been curated specially by Googlers. That's what we call them. And you get a lot of rewards. We are working back and forth with all the rewards and recognitions. So that's it. And the arrow that you see right now, where I've specially mentioned where was that area when I got introduced to open source, was while working as a tech writer. I think it was in the year 2020, when everyone was in lockdown, and that's when I got to know something around open source, and I'll obviously come to that also. But I think I was too late to know about it. But now that you folks are here, I am very glad that a lot of you might get into open source or might get into open source. So let's just next slide, maybe I'll brief you about it. So I just want to give you some of the opportunities which are available with tech writing. I think you might also be a tech writer already. I'm pretty sure about that. And if you're not, then I just want to tell you what are the opportunities. People think that open source is not paid. Open source, what can open source do? But I want to tell you that open source is one of the biggest opportunity that you can work with as a tech writer, because not only code related contributions are there that you can make with tech writing. So there are a lot of non-code related contributions that you can make to tech writing. The second is there are so many software and hardware companies that are looking for tech writers, and this is no joke. I think they're also very highly paid, by the way. So if you talk about Google, if you talk about Microsoft, Tesla, Stripe, Apple, everyone is looking for tech writers. And not just that, I think even NASA is looking for tech writers. So the opportunities are just endless when it comes to tech writing, because I think every company, whether it's building a hardware, whether it's having a software, whether it's having a framework, a language, or anything, they need tech writers. So I'm super glad if you are a tech writer or if you want to get into this. You can also become developer advocates or developer relations engineer, which is again very similar. So tech writing is one of the parts that you need to have to become developer advocate. And there are three things which you need to become a developer advocate or developer relations engineer, which are fairly new fields, because it has slightly begin to take that rapport that, suddenly you'll hear a lot of these opportunities. So the three things I was talking about is content, community, and product. So if you combine all these three things, that's how you become a developer advocate or developer relations engineer. And I don't want to dive into it more, because that will take a separate session in itself. So, but yeah, that's it. Next slide. Yeah, so I'll just give you this graph which talks about why we want to focus on tech writing and the problems encountered in open source. And if you see, the highest percentage is given to incomplete or confusing documentation. And I don't know how to emphasize on this, because I think a couple of weeks back, I think I also posted this on Twitter, that I don't know how many open source projects just went invisible or just non-existent for people because of incomplete readmes, or they just didn't have enough content to explain their project. So this is a very sad scenario, because as as open source projects or something that you have built, you will obviously want that to have some visibility. But to get that visibility, it's very important to have a proper readme. And that's when tech writers come into picture, that building that proper readme is no joke. You have to identify the steps, you have to identify how well can you explain that project to someone who is even 5 years old, and even they can understand what you have written. They can also understand how they want to use this project. So there I have been across so many projects. Even working with dev library, I come across so many projects where those projects were just deleted because of not deleted, were just rejected because of incomplete readmes. And this is a funny part, because those projects were really good. Even the curators have written in the comment section that the project is really good, it works well, but it just doesn't have that you know readme where I can understand how can I use this. So it's a very unfair thing, but that's a fair thing for us, because as tech writers, this is our win-win situation where we can pitch into open source projects. So yeah. So this is what we were talking about. What are these non-code contributions which we talk about in open source? And that is where tech writers come into picture. Let's see what are these non-code contributions that we have. Excuse me. Sorry. So yeah, the role that you play as a tech writer is very interesting, because you are a one-person army. You are playing the role of a developer, you are playing the role of an end user, you are playing the role of an educator, an information architect, a writer, translator, DevOps, and coordinator. And if you see, you should realize this, that you will obviously be amused. This is a one-person job. And I can actually relate to that meme, where that kid says, "Are you getting paid for it?" So I can actually relate to this, that is this really a one-person job? But yes, it is. We are the ones who have to do all of this. And it's super interesting, because when you start working as a tech writer, you realize that you have to also work as a product person, because you have to identify the features. So you have to also work with the code, you have to understand the code, and not necessarily code, but understand it. Then you have to also work as an end user, that if you have written something, you have to ensure that you're also understanding it. So a lot of this comes into picture. That's your role as a tech writer. Next slide. So let's dive into how can you start with open source contributions. And I think this is the most asked question also, because everyone, whenever I have these sessions, everyone asks me, how do I start with open source? Because finding the right project for yourself is very important and also very difficult. So I would say that before starting your first project, or before even knowing where to start, learn specific tools. And by tools, I mean just be very thorough with GitHub. I don't think so there is any life without GitHub nowadays, especially in dev market. There is nothing that you can do without GitHub, because everything lies there. I love, even I was a noob. I think a year back, even I was a noob. I had nothing to know about GitHub. And I didn't take any special session. There is just this YouTube video that I watched for 2.5 hours that told me exactly how we can use GitHub and Git. And the second part is the official documentation. And whenever I still get stuck, that official documentation is just my go-to, that, oh no, I don't know how do I create this branch, and just go to the official documentation and you'll know how to do that. So before even looking for projects, just get yourself well acquainted with Git and GitHub. That's extremely important. Then second, if you want to try out which project to look out for, just try any of the competitions. I don't like to call it a competition, but maybe more like programs. So one of them is Google Season of Docs. And I think in the Slido poll also, I saw that a few people knew about Google Season of Docs. So I'll just brief you about what that is, because it has again started for this year, and I would love all of you to also participate in it. So Google Season of Docs is also again a program where open source organizations put out their projects, and that hey, I am a Mozilla person and I need help. I need some tech writers who can help me improve my documentation. Now, where will they find that those tech writers? Those tech writers are you people. So now the tech writers also pitch themselves on that, I have done this work in open source, and I want to also help out your organization. Now, if the organization feels that you will be a perfect fit for them, they actually choose you. And that's how you get selected, and it's a paid program. So you get paid to do the work that you will do. You can do it with your job, because I was selected in 2021 and I had a full-time job. Still, I was working with them. So because it does not require a lot of your work, but just maybe some after hours or working on weekends suffices the work exactly. And it's a very good learning, because I think I was working with this project called Metanorma, and we went through scratching the surfaces from the very bottom. I think the documentation was extremely difficult, what they already had. So we had to scratch each and every link, each and every paragraph of that documentation to refurbish it. So it was extremely interesting, because you get to actually structure the entire documentation of an organization. So I would highly recommend anyone who's looking for it that please put this your profile out there for GSOD. I will also paste the link where you can just go to the repo. They have maintained a GitHub repo this time, and you can put down your names in it. So similarly, there are more such programs like Outreachy, Linux Foundation. So all these organizations runs these programs. So you can just go and explore that. Then the third part is exploring open source projects. I've just noted here something down. These are a few projects which always have this uh, open slots for tech writers, where you can just go and approach them and tell that into their public channels. They might be having a Discord channel, they might be having a Slack channel, a Gitter channel. So just go, and you can always opt for volunteering. And I will like to tell you one more thing, that GSOD does not happen very easily. So this thing is that even I volunteered for 1 year. I think I volunteered in 2019 when I got to know about GSOD. I just volunteered with one organization just to know how this works and what else can we do in this. So volunteering always helps. Don't think of it as a free service or as a free work, because you are learning a lot in this entire process. So just go for it and start with a comfortable project. What I mean by a comfortable project is start with something that you're very comfortable, some tech stack that you're very comfortable with. So if you have an open source project that's built on Flutter, and if you are a Flutter dev or you're learning Flutter, so it becomes very easier for you to contribute to it. So just start with something that you're comfortable with. That way it can help you. See, that's what I was telling. I blabber a lot when I start talking. So please, if you have any questions, just go and start typing it in the chat session, or any comments that you are boring us a lot. Just type anything. Any comments are welcomed. So the next part is, I would just like to finish the slides quickly. So the tooling compromises, and I will tell you one thing that the tech writers face a lot of problems is in the tooling. So I think, as Ivy was also talking about docs as a code, and not a lot of people know what docs as code mean. So docs as code means tech writers are working just as developers, and I can tell you that's the best feeling, because we are always taken as that we are just writers, but when you actually work on docs as code, like you're working on Git or working on GitHub, or anything like that, you actually have a very confident feeling of a developer, which is a good thing, because you learn things and you're writing documentation as that. It is because we use this because it's very easier for developers to understand, and it also becomes easier for you to integrate with developers, because if you want any changes for developers, you can just share these things and get their feedback. For comfort, we also use Google Docs. I think I only use Google Docs currently, because the comment thing, the suggestions thing, the version history, everything is so extensive in Google Docs. And recently I also posted this on Twitter, that Google Docs is coming with a ton of features where you will never even want to go to any other tool. So they are coming with this product management features where you can build an entire product roadmap inside Google Docs. And there are just so many things that they have developed into, and So I love that whatever they are doing with it. And you also have this grammar and syntax checking. You can use Grammarly for it. So again, all this. So just make sure that you are integrating best of both the things, best of Git and Markdown and best of Google Docs. Next slide. So the process is very simple. If you want to ask me, how do I start? Just find something, find a project, identify the issue that you want to contribute to, send a pull request, and that's how you contribute to it. So again, if you are someone who is just starting with, and you will ask you what is a pull request. That's why I'm saying get yourself well acquainted with Git and GitHub, and it will make your journey easier. And there are so many open, I think two of the opportunities I got via Twitter and LinkedIn, which is interesting because getting open source opportunities through Twitter and LinkedIn is very interesting. So if you also want opportunities, start posting more about open source on Twitter and LinkedIn. That way people will know that you're also looking for it, so they can map you to opportunities. That's how I got introduced to two opportunities, so just go with it. Next. And the benefits are endless, by the way. I've just noted here 5, but the benefits are endless because when you get to open source contributions, you are actually building a network. So there is this open source organization, Google. It was initially it was called Good Docs Project, where I volunteered. And I think because of that network, I got so many other opportunities, because now when we are working together as a community, we're also meeting for different meetings. We are collaborating on different initiatives. So when you start doing that, you're actually building a big network for yourself, and across countries, that is globally, not just. So suppose if you're in Africa, not just Africa, but you're building it globally, because there are people across the globe, and you will never know where your next opportunity lies. So the biggest benefit is networking. Second is entry into programs. So if you are already contributing to open source projects, your entry to programs like Google Season or Docs becomes easier. Diversification. This, I say this because there is this project, the open source project called the Glossaries project, where we are building templates for glossaries. And I know this, that I have been working with scientists from Japan, from Germany, from Brazil. And that's why I call this diversification so important because the way everyone speaks is different, right? So now the way I'm speaking English, the way you will speak English, the way a Japanese will speak English is so different. Even the Germans, they eat half of the words. So, so it's so difficult in meetings to understand what you're trying to say. And I think that's the best part of working with open source organizations, because this diversification is everything that you would want. The fourth part is improvement and community feedback. These both things are, when you're building in public, you actually improve yourself over time, and also you get a lot of community feedback. This again, I've realized with the Good Docs project, I used to get so much feedback on my work, which has helped me improve. And I think this is one of the biggest benefits of open source. I think that's it. Yeah, I would also like this. I added this because again, with open source, this is the most difficult thing, that keeping documentation up to date with a rapidly evolving software and everything. So your docs are technical debt. That's how we say this, because whenever you have written something, and not just open source documentation, I'm saying like documentation in general, whenever you have written something, it is very important to just let it evolve over time, and own as little as possible. We say this because when you give your docs to open source organizations, like open source your docs, that's how we say this, you actually start getting contributions from other people, and that offloads a lot of your work, so which is good. So create intuitive products, remove content. I think over time you realize that there were features that you used to work with, so start removing them. Write concisely. I think these are very basic things, because you have to write concisely, reference external content, open source docs. So all these things are like, less words and get read more. I think this is more important with tech writers. Next. And how do you become better tech writers? I will just move to the next slide because I'm going to end over there. I don't want to take a lot of time. So I just want to say that define user personas, always maintain a style guide. This is very important, by the way, because this is an example I give in every meetup, that there was this company where I was working, which was an e-commerce company, and the way everyone used to write e-commerce was different. So someone used to write small e, capital C, someone used to give a hyphen, someone always had capital E, capital C. So just one word had 10 different distinctions of it to refer. So it's always good to maintain a style guide because you want consistency. So don't let people to take their own assumptions and just work around that. Maintain a style guide. Prepare information architectures. If you're working for Google Season of Talks also, this is a very good example for that. Mention that you are very good at maintaining information architecture, because that's how you structure your website. That's how they'll get to know that you're very good in structuring stuff. Work in collaboration and follow the diathesis framework. Diathesis framework is very important. If you don't know already, please Google it. This is how you will get to know how to. I'll just paste the link also. This will help you extremely with your own structuring of technical docs. So that's it. I think I have talked a lot, and I'm open to any questions that you have. And yeah, that's it. And thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Ankita. If you have any question for Ankita, you can drop it in the chat section. Ankita, I think I have a question for you. When participating in Season of Docs, when making your application, sometimes you tend to, go through other developers or other writers' profile, and you get to realize that they're using tools that you are actually not conversant with. For example, you might see a writer who has tools like Madcap in their profile, so and such, and the only tool you have in your profile is probably just Google Docs. So does that make your application or your profile weaker or stronger?
I think this is a very good question, by the way. I think tools never identify what kind of a writer you are. With Google Seasonal Docs, I've seen this. Your experience counts a lot. So not the tools that you worked with, because I don't think so anyone wants to work with Madcap Flare nowadays. Because I remember when I joined this company, they made me work with XML and data framework. I had no idea what that was. So I think it's not important which tool you are using, but it's only important that what was your experience until now, how many open source contributions you have done until now. Your GitHub profile matters a lot, and the extra things, like I said, like information architecture, if you are able to build that, that's very important. And I never have I ever came across someone who has talked about using tools. Even if you know Markdown, if you have written Markdown, I think all the tools in the background use Markdown. So if you know Markdown, that's enough. And if you know GitHub, that's like more than enough and the best thing. So these two things suffices everything. So you need not know a lot of tools.
Okay, thank you. One last question. I think most of our community members have, for their profiles, they just have the traditional online articles like blogs, how to use a certain technology. Is my profile, if I add those blogs to my profile, is that enough to, get a company to consider me under Season of Docs?
Oh yeah, definitely. So if you have external blogs somewhere, it's a good opportunity for companies to contact you. It's just that it will sometimes you might need to reach out to the companies, but if you want companies to reach out to you, you have to make your online presence as well, which I say this in every session, not just as tech writers, but as any person, just have your online presence. So if you want more companies to come to you, have external blogs, maybe you can start freelancing. I think I have done a lot of freelancing where I just used to put out content on LinkedIn, and people used to say that, hey, I think you write well, would you also like to write for me for these articles? And suddenly somehow I started building a portfolio just because of those freelance opportunities. So I think if you can also freelance, have an online presence, freelance, and have your blogs on external websites like Medium, Hashnote, dev.io, keep a good profile of your blogs so that companies can contact you.
Okay, thank you for that. If you have a question, you can just drop it in the chat section. And I'm actually glad you mentioned that posting your blog on Medium and Hashnode will actually get companies to reach out to you, because I didn't apply for LogRocket. One of the editors of LogRocket reached out to me because she stumbled upon my article on Hashnode and she
Wow,
asked me to
that's
join
so
the
nice.
company. Yeah. So if you
It's
have,
really amazing.
yeah, I was actually very excited because I didn't know I could actually get paid to write. So if you have any question, you can drop it in the chat section as we wait for Andrew to prepare to get us started with the next session.
How do you have access to the slides, the presentations?
I will definitely. I can actually share that as a PDF, whoever needs it.
You're going to give us the link.
I can give you the link. Okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, I think Ankita can share it in the chat section, and also will share it in the post-event email. There is one question. Medium is good or our own blog sites?
Medium is good, or?
Should we use Medium to host our blogs, or we can just create our own blog site?
Again, the differences is again with the visibility part of it. The only problem with Medium is that they have now a paywall where your articles lie. So it's not very visible to different people, but I think it's good to write on both the platforms. So your own blog site, you can maintain it for sharing as a portfolio, but Medium is good because you get the visibility. You can also write for different communities. So if you are suppose a data scientist, you can actually write for towards data science. I think that's the page name. So you can actually write for them because they have extreme visibility to their articles. So now whenever I want to search anything related to AI or machine learning, I am actually redirected towards data science. And I know that's how I know that they have quality content. So it's good to write for different organizations on Medium, and you can also maintain your own blog site. But it's not important to maintain your own blog site if that was your question. Start writing on Medium, start writing on Hashnode, dev.to. That would be good.
Okay.
What is your opinion on having a specific niche? Example, React. I think that's good. If Dennis, if you're working as an Angular developer or you're working as a JS developer, because now just because of this, I know specific writers who are very good with suppose JavaScript. Now they have built their entire portfolio around that niche that I associate their name with that. So suppose if there is this person called Ravin, and I know that he writes a lot on JavaScript. So he's a JavaScript developer. He writes extremely well. So companies can contact him related to anything related to JavaScript. If I am writing a lot about blockchain, people can actually contact me saying that, hey, I think you write a lot on blockchain. So it's very good to have a specific niche. But if you are someone who likes to explore, someone like me, because I like to explore a lot, I don't like getting into one niche. But if you don't want that, you can always explore. But I think it's very good to have a specific niche when you're a dev.
Okay, thank you so much, Ankita, for that. I'd love to invite Andrew to take us to the next session. Andrew?
So up next, we have our next speaker, Bonnie the Great, as he calls himself on Twitter. He's a developer, technical writer, and he believes in hard work and helping our people.
Hey everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, you can hear.
Okay.
I think because of bandwidth, we can turn off our videos so that we give the presenter enough bandwidth to present. Boni, you are on mute.
Yeah, okay. I'm waiting for the directions. Okay, or should I start by introducing myself?
Yeah, yes, you can. You can share your screen and introduce yourself.
Okay. So it's okay without the video, right?
Yeah. However you prefer.
Okay. Okay. My name is Buni. I'm a developer, technical writer, and content creator. So, but there's a new term in town, the new kid in the block, Dab, developed as a blogger. This name was coined by Ankita. It's only like 3 days old. Yeah, I think that's a really good term to describe what I'm currently doing and what mostly developers who are writers are doing. So mostly what a developer as a blogger doing is mostly creating content creating technical content for tech blogs. So that's what I've been doing for like the past 4 months. Currently, I've been able to write 5 paid technical articles for startups and like a big company. And so I wasn't really into technical writing 4 months ago. I was in tech. I quit 4 years ago. I quit the School of Engineering and decided to get into tech. So I went to a coding institution, took a 4 months course. That's like, you can call it a boot camp. After that, I tried to start a tech company, but it failed because of lack of capital. I didn't have anyone to support me. Then the pandemic hit. I stayed at home, but I was continuing to work on my coding skills. Then I decided to freelance as a developer. But with the freelancing, I wasn't getting the results that I was expecting, and I was like struggling. So fast forward last year, 2021, I started to on June, I became active on tech Twitter community, where I was engaging with other developers and creating content on the technologies that I know about. So mostly I can call myself a full stack developer because I know to create websites with HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Currently I'm learning React. I've also worked with Django for the backend and databases like Postgres and all stuff. So I was really posting all this content on tech Twitter community. My account was growing. I was making meaningful connections, and on October, I received a DM from someone, and they told me that they liked my content on Twitter. Then they asked me if I would be interested to write for their blog. So they have a product called Archetype. I think, let me share my screen of some of the articles I've written for this blog. Yeah, so wait a minute. So actually, we have a technical writing community. We are already at 624 members. So here's a minute, please. Yeah. So the startup that wanted to write for their blog, they are called Archetype. Archetype is the SQL client that makes it easy to work with your databases. So they approached me. They told me that they asked me if I would be interested to write for their blog. I wrote my first article. This was my first article that I wrote. That was 4 months ago. It was about visualized Stripe payment data in Postgres using SQL. So I was already familiar with Postgres and SQL because I've been working with Django and Postgres for the backend. I'll build some projects, so it's something that I was familiar with. I knew how to write. Learning how to write basically is knowing how to structure sentences, paragraphs, how to put these paragraphs together to create an article that So after that, after working on my first article, so the
Hi, Bonnie.
Yes.
I think you're breaking.
Okay, I think my internet is saying it is unstable. Let me check. Okay, someone was trying to call me. I'm using my phone's internet. Is everything okay? Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Oh, someone was trying to call me. So so far, this was as I said, this was the first article that I wrote. So far, I've written 3 articles for them. Right now, I'm working on the 4th article. So in those 4 months, I've been able to, as I said earlier, I've been able to write like 5+ page technical articles, because right now I'm working with like 5+ clients. I'm pretty busy. I'm also working on a technical writing ebook. Another thing I'm working on is okay, I want to like start a technical technical creation content, like a business, like where I can, because currently I'm getting a lot of work, I can start working with other writers, technical writers, where I get work and maybe I can hire them. Yeah, so that's what I'm looking forward to, and that's why actually I have this community of technical writers, which was launched like almost a week ago. We're already at 624 members, and in this community we usually share resources, opportunities, everything that will help someone to become a better technical writer and make money online. So you can see people are sharing content about technical writing. Others are sharing opportunities on how to make money, on how to become a better developer and all that. I think if you're really interested in technical writing, you need to join this community. So yeah, that's how I got into technical writing. And yes, so currently okay, so the next thing I'll talk about is how can someone get into technical writing? So technical writing is a broad subject because you can be a developer, you can be a designer, you can be a data analyst, you can be even a lawyer or a nurse. You can decide to get technical content related to your skills, to your niche, or to what you do. So in development, when you're a technical content creator as a developer, you can maybe you use JavaScript, you use React, you use Python, you use Django. So you can be a JavaScript technical writer, you can be a React technical writer, you can all be all these technologies. You can be an SQL technical writer. So it's just about niching down and choosing what to write about. So maybe you can be writing, maybe if you know to use React, if you know to use JavaScript, if you know to use other frameworks, you can write about all that. And so the question, like, so let's say you're a developer right now, of which I'm sure most of the audience here are developers. How can you get started and start making money? So the first thing is that, of course, you know to code. The next thing you should probably do is learning how to write. Most people wonder, like, how do you learn how to write? There are a lot of resources out there, and if you go to my blog, my Dev2 blog, I've written a couple of blogs so far. I have 17 posts, and I have 17 posts. Mostly I write about how to make money online, how to they used to use the technical writing. So when you, I think I'll share a link with you later. So if you want to get started, you can go and learn what is, I've already explained what is technical writing, but in this article, I have all the resources that you need to get started. Yes, there's a Google technical writing that you can take. This technical writing course, Google technical writing course, you learn how to write clear sentences, how to put paragraphs together, how to write, to break down a complex concept into an easy to understand manner. It will also teach you how to write sentences in active voice rather than passive voice and all that. There's also another book where it's called Everybody Writes by Anne Handley. So this will basically teach you how to write an article, traditional article, but of which you learn how to write first. Then there's also content rules. So these are the books that I read to help me to learn how to write. The next thing that we'll do is after learning to write, how to write your first article, the best thing you can do is like, you can go direct to writing what you're doing, but what I did personally to practice my writing skills was write a story about myself. So I wrote this article, I called it The Journey of Never Giving Up. So it's like, it kind of documents my journey from deciding to quit the School of Engineering, getting into tech and all that. So this is how I was able to, this was my first article after learning to write. So the next, but you don't have to like write your story and all that. What you can really do is that after learning to write, you see, you build a project as a developer. What mostly a developer does is coding projects, working on project. Let's say you have built your portfolio websites using maybe React, JavaScript, and other technologies. So since you know to write and to develop your writing skills, you need to start writing, and you can write about how you built your portfolio website. After writing, you can publish on blogging platforms like Dev2. I'm currently on Dev2, but there are platforms like Ashnode, Medium, and others. So after first you publish, then you have to write consistently to keep improving your skills. Another thing you can do is read other articles that can be written by other writers. Like for example, right now you can go to my Dev2 profile, and you can start learning, maybe reading the articles that I've written. You learn how a sentence should look like. So this is our personal, but if you want to write something professional, you can just go on Google and search Boni Archetype. Then you'll be able to log into Archetype blog, and you can see some of the paid work that I've done. So here you can get a lot of inspiration, how to structure this, what the client expects of a good article. So mostly, and what makes a good article is that you have to use a lot of, let me open this new again. So you have to, So when it comes to writing a technical article, first you need to write a topic, like an headline that most probably explains or grabs attention of what the article is all about. So this is titled Visualize Track Payment Data in Postgres using SQL. So what will happen is that when someone Googles about anything to do with visualizing Stripe payment, they must probably be shown this article. So this won't be the only article talking about this. There will be many others, and the headline will determine if someone clicks this article or not. So another thing after writing is you have to write the introduction. So like it's where like an article has like different parts. There's outline, or there's the introduction, there's the body, there's the conclusion, and to be able to structure the article in this way, you need something that it's an outline. An outline is like the skeleton of the article. And so, okay, later we'll talk about the writing process that you can use to write such technical articles. But what I wanted to show you is that when writing a technical article, you need to use easy to understand language. You need to use a lot of screenshots, code samples. Like you can see here, I have a lot of screenshots. It's like showing step by step to the user, to the audience I'm writing for, to be able to do what I'm trying to help them do. So let me show some code examples. Screenshot. Yeah. So here's some sample code. So these samples will help the user. Okay. The goal of writing this article, of these startups and companies are wanting for content creators like us to be able to, why do they want this content written for their blogs? Why are they reaching out to writers like me, you, who are on the writing? So what really these startups and companies want is that mostly technical content creation falls in content marketing. So mostly content marketing is where like you create blogs, videos, and other content with the aim of educating your customers or your consumers. Let's say, for example, I have a problem about visualizing the data with visualizing data from Stripe data. When I go on Google, I don't know this article. This is a problem, and I want to Google so that I can read an article that will help me to solve this problem. So when I click this article, it will guide me and show me how to solve my problem. So when you solve this problem, there are the tools that you need to use to be able to solve your problem. There are tools that you need to be able to visualize this data. So let's say, for example, to get this data from Stripe payment, I had to use a tool called Stitch. So you use Stitch to get data from Stripe. Now Stitch, you take data from Stitch, you load it to a Postgres database. Then you use Datagres, you get data from Postgres and you visualize it. So
we're sort of running out of time for the session, so we would like to jump into questions now. But that was a really, really great session, very insightful. You've shown us the different materials and resources we could use to get started in technical writing, including the host of great articles you've put out. We will definitely be using them. So people with questions, could you please type them in the chat so that Bonnie could answer?
Andrew, I have a question. Now that to Bonnie, now that I know how to write articles, now that I have some experience writing articles and how to structure my articles, how do I actually go out there and search for opportunities of freelancing gigs to actually get paid for my articles? Or how do I get several streams of income out of technical writing?
Okay. Okay. As you start writing, you'll have a portfolio. That's why you need to post your work on blogging platforms, so that you have a portfolio that shows the work that you've done. So I have a list of platforms that are paying technical writers. You can check if you're following me on Twitter. You can check my pinned tweet. It has all the platforms that are paying technical writers between $200 to $600. So you can apply to these. You can go to these platforms. You apply. Then you most probably they will ask for the work that you've done, and that's where the articles that you have published on blogging platforms will come in. You share them as your portfolio. Yeah, and if they really like your work, then they can hire you. Another thing is having an online presence as a technical writer or a developer, where you're a tech blogger. then most probably the startups or the clients that aren't technical writers, they'll notice your content, what you're sharing, and they will hire you. So actually, the funny thing about me is that I've never applied for any technical writing gig. Most of the clients reach out through me, Twitter, and they ask me if I will be interested to write for them. Yeah, but still, if you don't have a big audience, you don't have to wait for the client to come looking for you. You can do the client outreach where you can apply for these opportunities.
Okay, thank you. I've also shared a link of a resource I found really helpful when looking for technical writing gigs. That I can just reshare it once again. They have a list of organizations that pay you for writing. I think in Kenyan shillings, they range from 10,000 to 60,000 per article, which I think is actually a good pay. Yeah, back to you, Andrew.
That's awesome. Really helpful resources being shared. This is dope. We have another question in the chat from Dennis Futai. He asks, what kind of content does he need to post on platforms such as Twitter and LinkedIn to get exposed to potential clients?
Okay. Okay, what you can do is, first, you're a developer. So let's say you're a JavaScript developer. What you can do is create content on what you're doing, connecting with other developers on Twitter, posting valuable content on JavaScript. So that means you'll get noticed. As you engage with other developers, they'll start noticing you. Your content will start getting engagement. And the more your content is getting engagement, the more you get exposure, the more you get followers, the more you get impressions, the more your tweet will be shown to more people. So as you continue, as you become consistent creating this content, people start noticing you, and that our client will notice you. So having an online presence, like where you build a personal brand on Twitter, that almost probably you'll get a lot of work. Another way is to get work is blogging, posting your articles on blogging platforms. This is where like potential jobs, recruiters, client will reach out to you. Actually, there's a company called Upsmith. They reached out to me they showed me that they had seen my articles on Dev2, and they asked me if I'll be interested for a full-time job for a technical writer. So actually, I think they were paying between 25,000 US dollars to $60 I think per year, and most probably that is like 2K USD to 5,000 USD. That's really a lot. So I think to learn such jobs, you really need to have some experience in tech as a writer, and yeah. But if you are starting out, you can just be able to have an online presence or applying for writing gigs to these platforms that are paying technical writers.
Really great answer. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, Andrew.
Hi, Colin.
Oh yeah, so I just wanted to add to what Bonnie has said regarding the question of what kind of content do I need to post on platforms such as Twitter and LinkedIn. So ideally with Twitter and LinkedIn, so one, I have 2 points to put across. One, you can use the how-to guides. Like, let's say you are a full stack JavaScript developer, you can say like or rather coming up with a short how-to guide on creating authentications using now Manstack or whichever the stack you are in underneath JavaScript. And then 2, using code snippets. Code snippets are like, you just create a simple way. Let's say in React, you can say how to manage states using either way, using Redux or the creating components. So you just write a short code and then now you do the posting. So with your how-to guides, you attach a link, whether you've written it on Medium Daily or the other writing platforms like Hashnotes or DevTools. So those two approaches, I think they have also worked well, or rather they work well with most of the content creators or technical writers. Yeah.
Okay, what you can just do is that create project with the programming languages that you use. If you're an Android dev, if you're a JavaScript dev, if you're a React dev, focus on building projects. After you work on this project, now write how you built them. It's like documenting the process of building these projects. That's how you can get started. And mostly if you are React, companies that use React, they'll reach out. Actually, there was a recruiter, there's a company that is backed by Y Combinator, and they wanted a React, someone with 2 to 3 years of experience. And mostly what they asked for is previous work that you have done, and mostly people who are reaching out, they were sending their LinkedIn profiles, their portfolios on these blogging platforms, and that's how the recruiter will be able to know what your experience, how good you are, and all that. So what you can just do is create a project with the programming language you're using, technology, write about that, write consistently, reach out to these platforms that are paying, or if you have a good audience, or maybe you can start from scratch and you can start getting these opportunities. So it's a matter of dedicating yourself, being consistent and improving over time, because you can't, if you can't build projects, if you can't write, you don't expect to like work on client work. So it also requires some self-discipline, working on yourself, improving and all that. It takes a lot to some hard work and all that.
I think you're muted, or maybe you are done speaking. But up next, we have the next session, and it's Cliff who's heading it. So, yay, Cliff, come through.
Okay, I don't know if you can hear me.
I can hear you.
Great. So next is a panel session. So we have some great people joining us for panel session. We have experienced technical writers joining us to share more about the journey, the experience in technical writing, and we see how much we learn from them. So I think just identify them in the crowd. Okay, yeah, I see Harun's there, Linus is there, Faith is there. Okay, I don't see Maureen. Is Maureen in the call?
Yes, Maureen is on the call.
Okay. Okay. So I think I'll give each of them a chance to introduce themselves, just to talk a little bit more about them and yeah, who they are, what they do, and maybe some little bit of hobby so that we know them differently. So we'll start off with Faith.
Hi, please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay. So my name is Faith Kilonte. I am a graduate of computer science from Ashesi University, but I'm also a full stack software engineer.
Okay, I think we lost Faith. Faith, we lost you. Was it from my end?
I lost her too.
Oh, okay. Okay, as she fixes that, maybe we can go to Harun. Harun.
So hi everyone.
Hello.
So you can hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Yeah, so I'm Harun Wangereka, an Android engineer. And also I do a number of things. One of them is organize communities. We have Android 4.1 in Kenya. And also on the technical writing, I think I started way back, maybe probably 2018. And then, yeah, it's like a passion I've had, like, of doing like technical writings and so on. And then actually today, I'm like marking my 2 years at Rewendalik. We have been doing like paid technical writing. We've been doing articles, and also I have books and also video courses. And apart from that, I also write for another company called Stream, just like an external author on their chat SDK. And yeah, I think that's all about me. I'm also an Android GD, and I don't think, do we have anything that I've missed?
Yes, a hobby.
Yeah. Yeah, so for me, hobby, mostly I love traveling, but for the last 2 years, I've not been able to like travel a lot because of the COVID restrictions, but I hope to get back on traveling.
Okay, thank you, Aaron. Linus, you can do an intro yourself.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
My name is Linus. I'm an Android developer at Hazina, and I'm also a technical writer. Started writing around 2020. Wanted to find a way to document what I was learning. And so I found a section which offered students to pay to write. So I joined it, and it's been an interesting journey. And at this point, I also help them manage the other writers and how they deploy the articles and all that. But yeah, it's been an interesting journey for me too. I like writing, especially in Kotlin. And yeah, that's basically me. My favorite hobby, for those who know me, I like cooking, specifically baking a lot. And if you get a chance to visit me, be rest assured there'll be something I'll prepare. So yeah, thank you.
Definitely, we'll come visit you for the goodies. So I can't seem to find Maureen. So Maureen, if you're in the call, maybe you can do an intro.
Hello, please. Can you hear?
Okay, Faith, we can hear you, but it seems your voice is breaking. I think it might be due to internet connection.
Hello, Clifford, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I'm so sorry, my network is pretty bad. Yeah, so just to introduce myself, my name is Faith Kilonte. I am a full stack software engineer and a technical writer. I've been writing since 2018, but professionally, I started earning from technical writing in 2020, beginning of 2020. And that was like after a couple of years of basically sharing my blogs and everything. Outside tech writing and tech, I do a couple of things. I read a lot, and I also watch movies, and basically I'm more of an indoors person. But from my technical writing experience, I've been doing open source writing mostly, but currently I have been able to work professionally with companies like Splunk, Fixit, Dev, Draft, LogRocket, Smashing Magazine, and a couple others. So basically that has been my journey, but I've been working full-time as a software engineer alongside technical writing. So thank you.
Thank you for that intro. Maureen, I don't know if you're able to give an intro. I can't seem to find her.
Hi, Cliff.
Yes, hi. I found you.
Can you hear me? Sorry, on the road, it's a little bit noisy, but I hope you'll bear with me. So, hi everyone, my name is Maureen. I'm a software engineer by profession. I like documenting things. I mean, when I meet something new, I like documenting the process of how everything works. So that contributes to why I love technical writing. So I started writing in 2019. Yeah. mostly on Flutter or any new technology that I've come across. So it's been an interesting journey, looking forward to learn from everyone else. Aside from that, I'm a tech communities lover, organizer of Flutter Kisumu, where we invite speakers to come and give talks as well. So it's a great pleasure being invited to speak as well as listen to other people's stories. So it's a great pleasure and looking forward to learning from all of you. Thanks.
Great, thank you. But you forgot to tell us your hobby. Apart from
Oh
the
yeah,
development
I
stuff.
didn't get that. Sorry, I didn't get the memo. So my hobby, I have several hobbies. I don't know if eating is a hobby, but since I think Linus said he loves cooking, my hobby is I love eating already cooked food. So yeah, thanks.
Thank you so much for that. So I think we'll get right into the questions. So we had like a number of questions to ask our panelists, just to dive into more of their journey, more of the experiences, and for the audience to learn more from that. So I think I'll just go right into the first question. So we will start with Linus. So the first question is like, how did you find yourself into technical writing? Like, how did you find yourself starting in this new field of technical writing? Like, just more about your journey, more about like, what was the passion behind it, and like the reasons behind it?
Okay, so around 2019, later at the end of 2019, I realized that I was reading a lot of articles about people exploring different things in Android, specifically in Kotlin. It's right at the time when I had started learning Kotlin, and I wanted a way to also join that field where I can document exactly what I am learning, or if I discover something new that isn't really common, I can be able to write it and showcase what I have learned. So I thought it would be a good option in my resume, in my CV, to showcase exactly my learning journey. So someone can create some form of timeline of what exactly I've been learning, what I have discovered, what I am doing at that specific time. And so I wanted to write on Medium. I think I have one article, but it isn't really technical. It was just like a small introduction. But as I wanted to dive in, a friend of mine called Adrian told me about Section, which was really interesting, knowing that you can actually get paid to write. So it was kind of like hitting two birds with one stone, documenting what exactly I am learning, as well as getting some money from it. So that's how I came to write at Section. And as we progressed, got more opportunities. For instance, peer reviews, like trying to review what other writers are submitting. So you'll be able to see what exactly people are doing, and you'll be able to verify what they wrote is actually true, or just give you expand your skills in technical writing. And also grew my technical skills, because there are a few articles I read and I didn't actually know what that specific thing, especially in Kotlin, sometimes someone has something different that you haven't really noticed. So with that chance, I was able to learn some things that I didn't know. And yeah, so that's my journey. At the moment, I'm a content moderator. So what we basically do is publish the articles that have been polished and have been worked on. So we are able to make a final review and then publish it to the actual website. So that's where I currently am.
Yeah, thank you. And I think I like what you say about like having to hit two birds with one stone, like being able to share what you're learning, because there's always that good side of teaching others and getting to understand the content much better. And even despite that, you also get paid for that. So maybe to ask Faith, like, how was it for you? Like, how did you find yourself into this technical writing space? Faith, I think you're on mute.
Okay, I'm sorry. So for me, my journey into tech was kind of different. I attended a liberal arts school, and my initial course I was supposed to do was business administration. Then within the first semester, I explored a couple of things. Then I realized I was very passionate about programming. And the reason why I became, I realized my passion for programming was because I could understand the concepts pretty easily and teach them to my classmates. And within the second year, I became a tutor. So I was even being paid to teach other students now, maybe in first year, second year. So I realized that the more I taught them, the more I was learning more things, but I didn't have an avenue to maybe share with a wider audience. So mostly maybe when I learn a new concept, that's when I'll write about it. So mostly was to share what I was learning in the course of changing from a business administration student to a computer science student. Then later on, after graduation, I worked full-time as a software engineer. Then when COVID hit, I realized that I had a lot of knowledge that I needed to share, and I just didn't know how to go about it. So through my writing, I was approached by a company in San Francisco that it's called Fixate. And that's when I knew I could actually earn. I mean, at the time, $100 in 2020 during COVID, it's lockdown. $100 for an article, it's a lot of money for someone who has been writing for free since 2018, you see. So that's how I got into that. And I mean, as I learn more, so I like to teach. I'm working at Moringa too as a part-time technical mentor, which is helping me as well learn more things. So for me, it's always been learning enough to be able to explain the concept. And also the concept behind technical writing is for you to be able to understand something better, to be able to explain it to someone else. So for me, that's been my goal, understand something better to be able to explain it to someone else in a simplified manner. So that's always been my goal, yes.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think it's really inspiring, like you were not in a technical faculty, like maybe engineering or IT, but you had this passion, you pursued this passion. You were doing it for free, then along the way you discovered that there's a way you can also earn from what you're doing. And yeah, I see the same theme of like having to share with others while you learn more. Harun, what about you? Like, how did you find yourself in technical writing space?
So for me, I think how I started maybe writing, it was back in, I think 2017, 2018. Where there was this feature I was working on an app that I was doing, just like doing stuff on the background. And I was like doing like a research for it like for 2 months. And I was like, there was no like enough content around the background services. And yeah, so once I like came up with all the researches and then all the findings, I was like, I need to maybe start sharing this with people, because a lot of people face these challenges and then they don't like document them, or they don't like write them down. So I wrote like my first article, which is usually like the popular one on Medium. It was like on background services, and the reception was good. And a lot of people found like the article helpful. And I think that was what like that when you see people like using your article and then saying they read it and then it would help them, there was that kind of encouragement that you usually have. So I continued doing that, like on Medium that year too. And then it became like that thing. And then in 2019, I saw like I was still like reading on Revendalik, because I used to love like the articles a lot and their tutorials. So once I saw like a call for maybe people to like apply to become authors there, I was like, yeah, I need to maybe try this out. And it was very simple. You just like write an email, then share what you've done. So at that time I had like a couple, like 7 to like 8 articles on Medium. So I shared them, and then they were like, yeah, we can kickstart the process. And then long story short, I joined them. And then from that time, I normally do less of Medium, and mostly I do like articles on Wenderlink because I love their process, because you get to learn a lot as you have people like reviewing your article from a technical perspective and also from a English perspective. Because at the time you think like writing is maybe just putting like a couple of sentences down, but people have to even check the grammatical correctness of your sentences and also the technical correctness. So for me, from that time, I usually like enjoy doing the writings. And also another thing that usually keeps me like going is just that feedback from people that, hey, I'm reading your tutorial, I'm reading your article. It has helped a lot. It has helped me a lot to maybe implement this feature or do XYZ in my current workplace or whatever project they are working on. So I think it started like just as a way of sharing like what I've learned. And then because at that time we didn't have like a lot of people writing. Yeah, I think right now we have so many writers, and which is a good thing. So at that time I saw like, yeah, I can start this writing. And then back in 2020, that is when like I started like that paid writing thing, because I was just doing it like just sharing content, and then I transitioned to maybe paid writing nowadays.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think maybe the attendees can see like there's a common theme. Like everyone starts off with the intent of just sharing this content. Then along the way, they get the awareness that, okay, you can share the content while at the same time earning. And yeah, I think it's a good thing to share also with the attendees, because some of them might be already writing to share, but don't have the awareness that they can be paid for their articles. Okay, Maureen, if you are able to share a little bit about your journey into technical writing.
All right, thank you. So my journey was interesting because the first time I wrote an article was in 2019, and this was where I was getting started with Flutter. I started Flutter in 2018, but Flutter was still new. There were few or less resources on how to get started. I depended on online community. So in 2019, after getting started with Flutter, I used to get questions on, I'm interested in Flutter. What should I do to get started with Flutter? So I get like 10 people asking the same question. Then I felt like, why can't I write like an article to give them a get started with Flutter article, so that when the next person asks, how do I get started with Flutter, I just share the article link. And I realized it was super helpful because I'm a detail-oriented person and I love documenting stuff. So when I started writing this article, I got the impression of people giving positive feedback, and this motivated me to write even more. So currently, yeah, that's my journey on how I started writing, and I started with Medium. I'm actually writing on Medium right now. And yeah, it's been a super interesting journey. And along the way, I got companies approaching. This Kenyan company, I want to mention the name, approached me to write for them their documentation, but I felt like the offer didn't match my current availability, so I turned it down. But the truth is that writing can pay you, especially if you're looking for something that you can do if you're looking for a full-time job, or if you're busy and you can't sustain both your full-time job and writing. Yeah, so writing is actually good, and it feels great passing down the knowledge to other people. I usually say the best way to learn about something is to write about it, and it's very true. So it feels great that other people are sharing their writing experience, and I'm also learning from that. That's my story. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. And I think something that I noticed on your story is you identified a common issue among lots of people. People were like stuck on how to get started with Flutter, and you wrote something on it, and it was able to guide people. So yeah, it's a good way of identifying what content to share. So now to the next question. Can you give us a bit of a recap? And I think I'll start with Faith. Can you give us a bit of a recap of like how you've been able to advance in your technical writing career? Because we all know you were saying this place where you started from. Like how far have you been able to go along with your technical writing career? Faith, if you're able to answer that. Okay, I think we can start with Linus. So like how far have you been able to advance into your technical writing career? Like where did you start from, and like how are you able to advance to the position where you are right now?
In terms of advancing, I can say it's more into the effort you put in. So I started writing the simple technical articles, just how to do things, how things work in the specific technologies. But then you can also start helping other writers in your field. So try and help other people get up, try to adopt this field, technical writing. So with that, at least you'll be able to give back to the people you're working with. And so using that, I was able to be discovered by our manager. And so that's how I started moving up the ranks. So it's more on helping other people. And as you continue writing, you learn a thing or two about writing itself. So you learn what exactly is required in a good technical article. So basically, your skills grow the more you write. So the more effort you put in, the more you teach other people, and also reviewing other people's articles can also help you get like other opinions and different views on writing articles. So using that strategy, I was able to move up, try and review other people's articles. And that's how I advanced. Have I answered the question?
Yes, you've answered it. And I think basically what you're saying is that when you started helping other writers, you started reviewing other people's content, and from that you learned how to write yours even better. So if I ask a different question I pose this question to you, Harun, can you give us, if you're comfortable with sharing, can you give us like how much were you able to earn from your articles, maybe at the beginning as you started with Relevant Knowledge? And how was it able to change your life and maybe change how you did things when you started earning from your articles?
So for me, I think Rwanda was the first time I get paid for writing, because like they have this whole intro thing of the benefits you get from maybe being a writer. So one of them is like you have all access to their books, video courses, like a premium account. So that was very useful for me. And then secondly was you have this network of developers, both mostly mobile. You have that network to maybe interact with them and also learn from them. And what else? They have this conference thing, which was postponed because of COVID too. And yeah, we have so many benefits. And then the payment, I think they have a flat rate for all the articles, that is $400 for every article. So for me, that is the rate I usually get from that time. But you can also advance if you're you've written so many articles for them. You can get what do we call them? A super author kind of a thing, where you get $600 for your articles. So I think I usually even for all the writings, maybe all the engagement I have to do for people, I usually say that I do a flat rate for $400, because that is the same engagement I have with Stream, where you do $400 per articles, which is not maybe more than 4,000 words. So you have also to count words, because if it is like very lengthy article, you have to do you have to do like 2 parts, and that is like 2 parts, and then you are getting paid for one. So I usually like say flat rate, and then not more than 4,000 words. And then for changing life, I think for me, it's been very opening. And then I also got this opportunity to like, as I mentioned, we have like our editors and also both English and also technical editors. They get to like improve your skills. And also apart from writing skills, you get that this maybe how to also share feedback to other maybe people writing, because over this time I've also done like a lot of reviews for people also writing. I usually get this request for people to, hey, you can review my article and then tell me what I can change. So from that process, I usually know how to give feedback and know how like to tell people, this is how you should maybe write an article. If your target, this is your target audience, do XYZ. So I've been able to do that. And also the icing of the cake, or maybe the top of all the things, is that I've also been able to write a book, which is like super amazing for me. And also it has like opened many doors for me, because once you tell someone you have written a book, the conversation kind of changes, because a lot goes into writing a book, both technically and also we have technical and also, what do we call it? The effort that goes to writing a book is major, and then the doors that it has opened for me, a lot of them. I hope I've summarized it in a better way.
Yes, you've really done it in a really good way. And maybe just to share a little bit of the statistics that you're sharing. So you were saying like it's about $400, flat rate of $400 for less than 4,000 words. Yes. And yeah, I think the attendees can see like how rewarding such a thing is. And yeah, so maybe we can switch to Faith if you're able to speak. Maybe you can share a little bit of how much are you able to gain per article, and like what impact has it had on you, your life?
Okay, so I hope you can hear me. I'm currently on the road, but I started earning at 100, 150. Then, progressively up to now, I'm able to earn up to 750 per article, but that's dependent on the complexity of the work I'm doing. One thing that has helped me transition maybe from being beginner from technical writing to a senior technical writer is how I'm able to learn as while I'm working. So mostly as a software engineer, I've been exploring a lot on AWS, DevOps. So my content currently is more on DevOps. And DevOps is a very good niche currently. So if you want to get into technical writing and you're interested in cloud computing, that's one place that you need to get into. So my DevOps articles up to now, they are not less than $500. So mostly they can pay you up to 750, up to 1,000, depending on the company you work for. But as a beginner, what I would advise someone is this: start with writing start even on Upwork, start even for writing for maybe your company, the company you work for, they need a docs. Start there, basically get a portfolio. For me, my portfolio speaks for me. And through my article, the impact I've been able to get is this. This year, I got a contract to work as an independent consultant with DigitalOcean, and for them, they pay depending on the work you've done in the past. For me, that's I don't even care about the money most of the time. I care about the credibility of the company I'm working for. So if you see Splunk, if you see Sumo Logic, if you see DigitalOcean, if you see these big companies on my portfolio, that's enough for me to be able to tell you this is how much I'm charging, and you won't even negotiate much because you know I'm worth it. So for me, I started from 150 in summary, and currently I earn none of my articles earn less than $300, but mostly my average rate is around 750, and mostly the impact is around credibility of the companies I work for and the quality of the work mostly. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. And I think the audience can see like how much technical writing is rewarding. And apart from that, I think one key thing that Faith has shared is about building the brand, like your brand as a person. So like the companies she's worked for, the credibility they have, they build her brand, and she's able to like get more and work with much better companies. So yeah, I think I'll pose the same question to you, Linus, because money is always a good factor and like a good motivator, as much as it's not the main thing, but yeah, it's usually a good motivator. So like for you, like how has it been for you, and how has it changed like your life?
So money, yes, it's an important factor, and it helps a lot. So as I started writing articles, we paid at $150 an article, not as much, but yeah, $150 is still the current rate up to this point. But still, in the topic of technical writing, we also have the different levels. So when you review other people's articles, they give you like some extra $50 on the side if you do that job. But my current position, where we merge the articles and publish them, we have flat rate of every week around $225, which is really good. I think it's one of my biggest finance sources. So it's really changed my life. I've been able to do a lot, and yeah, it's an interesting thing. Technical writing is interesting. That's all I can say. When they pay you, you at least get motivated to do something bigger and better.
Thank you so much for that. Okay, now we all know about like the technical writing space, and the audience we have might be mixed. There might be people who've heard of technical writing but don't know like anything about technical writing. So maybe I can pose this question to Maureen, if you're able to speak. Like, what's the day-to-day activity of a technical writer? Like, just giving a brief understanding of your workflow as a technical writer, so that someone can be able to gauge and know, is this something I want to move into?
Thank you for that. So just to clarify, I'm not a full-time technical writer. I write articles in my free time, mostly about things I've learned or things I would love to share. Maybe I was looking for something, then I find like a shoddy article not explaining so much. So that's when I delve deeper into writing, maybe so that it can help someone. But I'm not a full-time technical writer.
Yes, thanks. But the question I was asking is, as you start your activity of technical writing, like how is it for you, like the workflow, like how do you do it, so that someone can be able to gauge if it's something they feel interested
so
in.
On the workflow is more of identifying a topic or an area that you'd like to write about. So if you find a gap somewhere, identify the topic, and then if it's a tutorial on how to do something, what I normally do is I create a demo to mimic whatever functionality I want to write about. So if it worked successfully, then is when now I write an article how to do something. So first is identifying a topic. If it's a demo, do a first demo before putting it out there, test and validate that everything is okay. Then that's when now you go deeper into writing. Then after finishing, mostly is reviewing. So on my side, because I write articles because I enjoy writing it, I'm not yet paid to write. So on my side, what I do is I disturb my friends to review articles. So I didn't want to shame someone here, but I want to shame Harun because he has my pending article to review. I'm sorry. Please review it. Yeah, so after finishing writing an article, what I do, sorry about the noise. Okay, sorry. Yeah. So after finishing writing an article, I reach out to friends to help review. Then based on their review, I do like a write up once more using the feedback. So that's basically it from the process. I mean, from the workflow. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And maybe if we just ask Harold, like, how is your workflow like when you do it?
Okay. First of all, thank you, Maureen, for shaming me. Yeah, we usually have this thing where I do like a review for articles for Flutter, even though I'm not like a Flutter guy. We also have the same thing with Ivy. I also have like another pending review. So that is usually mostly my kind of weekend life. But for me, I also don't do like full-time writing. I do like sort of part-time, but for Rwanda League, I think the one thing that motivated me like to join them was because they have like, I'm usually this sort of guy, if I don't have someone on my neck telling me to do this, I'll not maybe kind of do the writing of that. So Medium was kind of hard because I'll say, I'll write like once in a month, then 2 months down the line, you've not written anything. So they have this sort of structured. So the first step, they have what we call topic masters who, let's say we have Jetpack Compose or whatever thing that is trending, and then they come with the topic and then write a description and then also link the sources that you can do research on. And also we have the project. They also describe what sort of a sample project you can do for that tutorial. And then once you go to that topic board, it's called like a wish list, and then you just pick one which you feel like I'd like to like work on this. So once you pick that one, you go to the outline stage, which is like a week. So outline is just you saying this article will have introduction and then part X up to the last part. So as you do like the outline, you also do the research for that topic, because I usually pick topics that I've never done before so that I can also learn, because at times I don't have like time to learn all these new things or the upcoming trends. So I usually pick new topics and then do a research about that, come up with an outline. They give you like a week, and then after the outline, there is the project where you do like 1 week too, where you develop the project that you're going to use for the article. And then as you're doing this, we have people called supervisors. We have one called FPE, like that is like a final pass editor, who is like the overall person in charge of that article. So he and together with the technical editor called like a TE, they will give you feedback on the outline and also on the project, because we have like very long guidelines not long, like very many of them, on how you're supposed to maintain their English structure, everything. They like have this extensive guide on how to write their articles, how to develop the back in case it's major changes that you have like to redo. And then after the project phase, you have the now writing phase, which is like 2 weeks. So you come up with the actual writing. And then once you are done with that, it goes to the technical editor, who takes another week to do the edits. And then once the editor is done, you go to the grammar checks. That is another week too. And then after that one, we have the last editing stage, the FP, who goes through the feedbacks for the grammar, because the grammar editor doesn't know like technical things, because they are not normally developers. They're just people who look at the article from an English point and also make sure that you're following the recommended guidelines that Rwanda League follows. So once they have like challenges, they'll write to-dos for the final pass editor who will come and address them and then consolidate all the feedback. And then once the FP is done, the article is handed over to the Android team lead who will just take a look at it and then see if everything is okay. And yeah, so it's a long process because normally my all articles I usually do take between 2 months to 3 months at most to even get published. So it's a lengthy process. So I usually do like one at a time. I usually don't like taking many of them because at times at the writing stage, you can be given a lot of feedback to maybe rewrite something or maybe edit something. But for me, for the 7 that I've done currently, I've never gotten to maybe be told like, yeah, go back to writing this article also because they have those guides. So I usually make sure I follow them. So the book process is also a bit different, but I think the writing that is the overview.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. And I think from what we see from your processes, there's a lot of feedback involved in it. There's a lot of changes involved. And I like the fact that you highlight grammar because you might have the best intentions in your article. You might want to pass the best information, but how you write your grammar affects how the other person will understand your article. So yeah, it's really good how you highlight the process and the whole thing and how it involves a lot of feedback and a lot of changing and yeah, just ensuring that it's in the best way for people to understand. So maybe if I jump to you, Linus, there are people in this call who are hearing technical writing for the first time. They've never done anything to do with technical writing. And yeah, they're hearing that people can earn a lot from it. They're hearing people are earning $400 to $25. Others are even earning $750. And they would like to just get started into this space. Like, what would be the best advice you'd give such a person?
When someone is starting, I think first things first, they should first consider the medium or the website or the service they're going to use to document their articles. It's really important. If you get a paying one, which is what everyone is aiming at, will be better. So once you get it, I think first you would go through what they normally publish, the content they already have on their service, so you can be able to gauge what exactly is going on or what exactly is needed from you. Because one thing I've noticed with most of these services, they have their own predefined process or way of publishing the articles and verifying them. So you going through whatever they have will give you some idea of what is expected from you. So doing that will get you somehow prepared for when you publish your first article. And once you're done with that, I think the next thing will be to check, to cross-check your article. Once you've done writing, you've polished your article and everything, I think it will be better if you give it like proofread to go through all the different sections you've written, whether you've arranged everything, and the different stylings too. So that will help you understand, or it will make you see the minor mistakes you might have made. So just giving it a second look would also help. And another option would be to give someone else the draft to go over. For instance, Wangereka, you can also ask them to help you out. Accept feedback from all of them. You don't have to enclose yourself. It's always better to ask someone or rather a second eye to go over your article. And that would actually, they might actually find something that you might have missed. So ask someone else to help. And I think the last thing will be, if you have a manager or someone above you in the ranks, it will also be helpful if you connect with them and ask for more feedback on your article. So getting started, first do your research very well on the platform you're using. And after writing, ask for feedback. It's always helpful to ask for feedback and don't take it personally. It's just like code reviews. Someone else might see something that you might have missed. So yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I think it will be really useful to people who are trying to get into the space. And the fact that you're stressing more on feedback means that it's more of a progressive thing that people get to improve along the way. You never start when you're perfect, but through getting feedback, through reading other people's articles and reviewing other people's pieces, you get to improve the skill. So I think at this point, I will open it up to the audience. You've heard a lot about them. You've heard a lot about the journeys. You've heard about what they do. So at this point, I think you'll just be able to raise your hand and ask questions to the speakers who are here. Unfortunately, Faith had another meeting, so she has dropped off, but we still have Harun, Linus, and Maureen with us. Okay, so I see the WTD meetups has the hand up. So you can ask.
My question was, I wanted to ask Faith the question. So I think I'll just ask Harun. When Faith mentioned that she's getting paid $1,000 per article, I always had a mini heart attack because that's so much money for one article. But if she's that experienced, I think she deserves it all. So my question was, how do you know that a company is actually giving you a good rate for your article? So how do you know that this rate is actually the correct rate for the kind of work I offer? I think I'll forward the question to Harun.
Yeah, so I think for me, the first thing I usually do is I have that flat rate for mostly that $400, and then it also, you can also, we have like this information nowadays is very open. People are very open with maybe the rates for writing, especially in case you go from maybe to maybe senior writing kind of a thing, especially if you are writing documentation for a whole company. Yeah, so I think you can, the rates are much higher. So I think you just like, the thing that can help you is you have to check the work that you're doing. Maybe is it like just a normal article? You can maybe do like that flat rate. If maybe it's something very complex, you have to maybe change the rates and also change the maybe timelines. And someone is asking you to do like an article in a day or maybe in some hours, you can also maybe increase the rate or something of the sort. But I think all these maybe charges, I think they're very open nowadays. And also you can also, even if you just search maybe for companies that are paying for content creation, you'll find those rates there. Hopefully I've answered your question.
Yeah, that's answered. Back to you, please.
Okay, so the floor is open for anyone to ask any question. So if you have a question, you can type it on the chat section, or you can unmute and ask. So Maureen also had to drop off. She's actually traveling. So yeah, but you can ask any questions. Still have Linus with us and Harold with us. Okay, so I think we have.
I think I can ask one more question to
Okay.
whoever will be willing to answer this, if I hadn't Linus. So definitely as a technical writer or a freelance technical writer, you sometimes get to write for various companies. So you might get in a week, you have like deadlines for 3 different companies. So how do you get to manage your time or manage the pressure and getting the article submitted on time?
Okay, let me answer that. So when you have multiple articles to write and you have a deadline, I think it will be best first to arrange them in terms of urgency, which one is needed most, but at the same time, take into consideration the amount of work that is required. So you don't find yourself concentrating on one article for very long and forget the other one. So I think you just need to plan and arrange them according to the urgency and the amount of work that is needed. And I think that way you are your best, you have more chances of completing the project or the articles in time. It's just more about organization really.
Yeah, so probably to also add on what Linus is saying. So I think you have to plan for that. And then, as I mentioned, I usually don't have like doing like multiple articles at the same time, because you can really find yourself maybe in a very tight spot. Like, for example, for me this February, I had like 2 of them in the line, and then I was doing this kind of go live support for the company I'm working at. So I had to kind of push many deadlines, because I'm like, I cannot be able to, maybe I was working on the project, so I cannot be able to work on the project and also do the work. So but the thing is, these people are very flexible, and that comes also in you communicating. In case you feel like you're going to delay, always make sure you call it on time. I'll communicate and then let us know.
Okay, thank you. One last question. How long do you take to write one article? Approximately 1,500 words.
I can jump on that. So to write an article, first it kind of varies with the subject matter, because I take the project building phase as part of writing the article, because you wouldn't have something to write if you have not yet built the application or the website. So I think it mostly depends on the article, on the project. But some days you can take, even if it's something you already know, can even take you like a day to write down everything and arrange your idea as well. And at other times it can take even up to 3 days or even more, depending on the project and everything. So yeah, that's my estimation.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any other questions? Maybe one last question. Okay, so no other questions. So I think I'll hand it over to you, Ivy. I think the panel session is over.
Okay, thank you, Cliff. I know we are 35 minutes over time, but I'll just have to admit that the last session was quite interesting and we couldn't cut it off early. So I'm really glad that the speakers took their time to share their experience with us today. And although some of them dropped off, I think we can have them again in different sessions and get to learn from them. So as a way to get to learn about our community, I've shared a form on the chat section. I will also get to share it on our Telegram group and the email. So we would love to know what you expect from our community. What do you expect to learn, or what do you expect to gain from Write the Docs Kenya community? So you can copy the link and fill out the form at your own free time, and then we'll get to know more about you and actually build the community in a way that we get to benefit more from it. So as a parting shot, I'd love to once again thank everyone for being with us today for the 2 hours and 36 minutes. I know, I hope you guys got to learn from our speakers and the panelists as well. And thank you for joining Write the Docs Kenya. And we do hope that you get to benefit from this community. One last word, docs, or it doesn't exist. So thank you for joining in, and we do hope to see you on our Telegram channel or our Twitter account and our upcoming meetup. Have a lovely evening and see you next time.